Thank you very much. Today, I'm going to talk about two topics. The number one is what is ultra high resolution CT, and then after I will talk about a little bit about AI in cardiac CT. This is my conflicts of interest disclosure. The reason I'm showing that is because we have 8 Canon CT scanners and 1 PC-CT scanner. But I own shares in Siemens because we have 10 Siemens MRIs, 3 Siemens PET-CT, 1 Siemens PET MRI. And the other thing is I want to talk about later is NVIDIA. So first thing is, what is spatial resolution? Spatial resolution in the XY plane, in this plane is called in-plane resolution and is determined by many factors including detector width, detector geometry, but also image matrix size, which can be 512 and 512 or 1024 by 1024. I will talk more about this later. Then there's Z-axis resolution, which is in this plane, which is the one that we are more interested in, which is called through-plane resolution and is determined by detector row width. Okay, this is the new term that we're supposed to use, and also by the by the reconstruction algorithm from the vendor. Detector row width is the main determinant of the intrinsic longitudinal resolution of the scan, this resolution. So spatial resolution of CT is mainly determined by detector row width. So the smaller the detector element, the better the spatial resolution. But this means if you have small detector size, there's increased noise, which means you need usually higher radiation dose to overcome the noise. With a dual source PC-CT, because of the better contrast to noise and lower image noise, the question is there less radiation dose? And I will discuss this. Also, you need noise reduction software to overcome the noise, and you need a lot of data storage because there's increase in your data of 10 to 50 times. And of course, the cost of a PC-CT scanner can be 3 to 5 times more than a normal scanner. So what is high resolution, ultra high resolution? The definition is less than 0.25, not less than 0.5, which a lot of people think. So currently all the scanners we're using, the detector widths have not changed for 20 years. They range from 0.625 to 0.5, okay? The ultra high resolution scanners that we're currently using, there's a Siemens dual source PC-CT which can scan using 0.4 mm or ultra high resolution since it's less than 0.25. But notice that the Z coverage is only 2.4 centimeters, very, very short. Canon has a precision scanner with detector of 0.25 and the Z coverage is 4 centimeters. This scanner has been around for a few years, but there are also PC-CT scanners being developed by other companies such as Philips. Canon also has one which can scan normal resolution 0.6, ultra high resolution 0.2. The Z coverage is 3.8 centimeters, which is much wider. And GE also has one in development. We're not sure what the detector collimation is, but we think it's 0.2, and we're not sure about the Z coverage, whether it's really 8 centimeters, because this is not being told to us. And United Imaging has also just installed 2 scanners as prototypes in Shanghai, and I was told that the Z coverage is 4 centimeters, similar to the Canon. So we installed a PC-CT 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And then I looked at the first 92 patients that we scanned after we installed it. We used the vendor protocol. And you can see the pictures are, of course, very nice. You've seen many of these pictures. No blooming in the calcium. The stent, you can see very well. And we published our data, and you can see that the radiation dose on average was 5.85 millisievert, and when we scanned with ultra high resolution, it was 7.2 millisievert on average, and the highest dose was 15 millisievert. So we concluded 2 years ago that the image quality, of course, is very good, but artifacts can occur because of the long scan times of 6 to 12 seconds, and the radiation dose depends on the type of scan mode. So we suggested that ultra high resolution 0.2 should not be used for routine cases, but only for stents and large calcified plaques. Okay, the 0.5 mm can be used for routine cases, whether you do flash or step and shoot method. But in the 2 years, there have been some improvements. Previously, we had to scan at 120 kV. Now we can scan at 90 kV. So as you know, when you reduce the kV, the dose reduces a lot. So this scan was 3.39 millisievert, and you see beautiful picture. And we also saw this is the RCA stent, this is the LAD, and compared to the old picture done on a 0.5 scanner, of course, the image quality is much better, but that's because there's a 60% improvement in spatial resolution, okay, compared to a conventional scanner. That's why everybody likes PCCT, because the image quality. Here's a patient that we scanned with a stent. The dose was 3.14 millisievert. You notice that these beautiful pictures cannot be created on a single via workstation. So we do not use the Siemens workstation because it cannot make pictures like this. We have to use a Vitrio workstation, which can take images from any vendor. You cannot even label this with a single via workstation. This is a patient that we scanned with a LAD stent, and you can see there's no in-stent restenosis, but you can see in the left main there is a stenosis there, which is confirmed on angiogram. But we also did a triphasic liver because the doctors wanted us, and we had to scan at 120 kV for the cardiac, and for the triphasic liver at 140 kV. This is, we cannot change it. This is what the scanner tells you to do. And look at the dose. The cardiac scan was done at 13 millisievert, and the patient received a total dose of 20 millisievert, which is a very high dose. So recently, for the ASCII meeting, I looked at 136 patients that we scanned. For routine case, we do quantum mode 90 kV 4.4. For calcified plaques, if we want to do subtraction, we have to scan at 140 kV, and you have to do step and shoot. But we have stopped doing this because the software that removes the calcified plaque doesn't work so well. So basically, currently we're only doing this or this. For stents and heavily calcified plaques, we scan at 90 kV, 0.2, and it has to be spiral retrospective scan. All right? Remember I said the scan coverage is 2.4 centimeters. So when you look at the dose, I know this is a very big slide, but with the normal scan, the dose is about 4.1 millisievert. All right? With the ultra high resolution, the dose is about, on average, 8 millisievert. But what you want to look at is the range. The range, the lowest was 1.6 millisievert, the highest was 9. Here, the lowest was 3, and the highest was 44 millisievert. 44. So I looked at all the cases that had high doses, and they were all cases where we did triphasic liver, or triple rule out, double rule out, or CABG, and you can see the dose is, on average is 17 millisievert. Okay, I'm using 2 conversion factor, 0.014, so we can compare with studies done before 2023, and after 2023 most studies are using conversion factor of 0.026. Okay, so the question is our dose higher than everybody else who uses PCCT? So I had to search all the recent papers, and because it's never in the summary, but the data is in the paper. And when we use the same conversion factor, I used their DLP and converted it. In 2023, our average was 13 millisievert using this conversion factor. These 2 papers, one published in radiology, the other one in European radiology, the dose was much higher than ours, 25. This study, the dose is similar, 12 millisievert. This one was very low, and our current one is 15 millisievert. So that means our doses are similar to what, or lower than what is actually published. The important thing is CT radiation exposure could account for 5% of all future cancer diagnoses, at least in America. So this would place CT as the same level as other significant risk factors for cancer, such as alcohol consumption and obesity. So we really need to watch our radiation doses. So what happened to all the sub-millisievert coronary CTs that many speakers like myself used to talk about years ago? The current popularity for PCCT cardiac users, you need to think again. Because is it really big and beautiful like some people say? The pictures are definitely beautiful, but the dose is also big. Okay? So our CT-CA doses with our dual source scanner is not low. It may have been okay in 2018. Many papers compare the doses to papers published in 2018 and say it's okay. To me, it's not okay. We are in 2025. The dose should be much lower. So we're waiting for the new PCCT scanners that are coming out in the next 2 years, I hope, to see if they're better. And I think they will be better because the Z coverage may help. Okay? So what if you want to buy a PCCT and you cannot afford to buy one? Firstly, the cost is, as I said, 3 to 4 times the most expensive traditional CT scanner. Is there any alternative? Well, we can wait for 2 years and wait for the new vendors to come and hope they will cut their price. I don't know whether the price will come down. And the other way is to use deep learning AI reconstruction software to improve your spatial resolution, which I will talk about in a little while. So using AI for coronary CT, you can reduce radiation dose using deep learning. You can post-process images using AI. You can use it for calcium scoring, coronary artery stenosis. I don't have time to talk about all these things today, so I'm just going to focus on 2. One is our experience using AI software with a software vendor, and you can see we just loaded. You can see these are Siemens images just done recently. We loaded it, and it just is processed in about maybe 3 or 4 minutes after the scan is done, and it can do this and label all the images. So that's quite nice. There's only one problem. These images can only be created in certain positions, anterior, lateral, and ideally this should be in standard cath projections, because that's what cardiologists want. They want to see the images like in the cath lab, like this. So currently this software cannot do it. Then what about bypass graphs? Yes, it can produce this in 3 minutes, but it cannot label them, and it can't segment them out very well. It cannot label the graph for you. And also you cannot see the anastomosis. Normally you want to see the anastomosis, but it can only do a few pictures like this. So it's still not good enough yet. Then this is an example when you're looking at stenosis. This case, they said there's a stenosis in the mid-LAD, but it missed a stenosis up here. There's a stenosis up here. that it missed, which is seen on these images. This is created on Vitrea, and you can see the stenosis is there, and you can see the stenosis there. So the AI software missed it. Here's another one. This is very important for radiologists. Many radiologists, or the AI software said there's calcified plaque in the proximal LAD. This is not the proximal LAD. This is the distal left main. Just to remind you the anatomy, the left main goes up to here. Many radiologists think this part is the proximal LAD. That is wrong, okay? The cardiologists get very upset when we say that. So this software also made the same mistake. All right, so it hasn't been trained properly on basic software, basic anatomy. This is another case where AI said there's a severe stenosis in the distal LAD. It says severe stenosis, sorry, distal circumflex. And when we recreate the images on Vitrea, these are all Siemens images, there's nothing. So at the moment, there are many AI vendors. This is a comparison from actually a company in Singapore started by the Singapore government that claims to be able to do this. I haven't actually seen how it works, but these are the famous American companies, and there's some from China. But look at the prices. They charge $1,400 US per scan, $1,200 US to use their software. This is because it's paid for by insurance. So the price has to come down. I don't know what the other vendors are charging, but the price at the moment is too high. Wow, just in the next few minutes, I'll talk about how to use AI to reduce radiation dose. This is what we're using a 320 prism scanner. Basically, the data uses deep learning and is trained on ultra high resolution data set scanned on a CT scanner with 0.25 detector width. And this produces sharper images. And once trained, the software is applied to the scanner on site, where it doesn't learn anymore. So once the software is installed on your scanner, it will reconstruct within 20 to 30 seconds after the scan is done. So it doesn't affect the radiographer's workflow. Once you scan, in 30 seconds, you get the images. And this, of course, uses GPU chips from NVIDIA. You can see in this case, it needs 8 of them. Each of them costs 50,000 US. Maybe that's why the software is expensive, I don't know. But we looked at 450 patients, and you can see the signal to noise ratio improved a lot. The contrast to noise ratio improved a lot. The noise dropped, but look at our average dose, 2.7 millisieverts, that's all, okay? And we are not a university site where we give IV beta blocker. We are outpatient site, we give oral beta blocker, okay? So this is very good. It's very easy for us to do. You can do plenty of cases a day, like 20, and these are some of our images. You can see the stent looks a lot better. But now, Canon now produces reconstruction in 1025 by 1025 matrix, and you can see the images are much nicer. We are using 512 by 512 matrix. So, in conclusion, ultra high resolution CT has improved spatial resolution. It's the much improved image quality and accuracy for assessment of coronary stenosis and stents. The high radiation doses using dual source PC-CT scanner, because helical scans are needed, should only be used for stent and heavy calcium patients. It should not be used when you're trying to do a double rule out, triple rule out, or part of the body, or CT and aorta at the same time. Using AI for post-processing coronary CTA scans and reporting, including plaque, several companies have CE and FDA approved software, but most of them are very expensive and we cannot buy it. It seems to be very fast processing, but the accuracy of quantification of coronary stenosis is still not good. And plaque quantification, I have had no time to discuss this, but in the end, it's likely to be reported as a CAD-RADS category. but I didn't have time to talk about this today. Thank you.